Hi guys. So in today's video, I want to talk about what I'd like to call manifestation versus coincidence. By that I mean, I just want to discuss a series of events that's happened in my life where it's just caused me to just kind of give like a little side eye, like, you know, what's really going on here? Whether it was just me manifesting things or it was just a total coincidence that things happened. I think at the end of the day, it just depends on how you look at it. But I don't know, I think they're pretty interesting. So I want to talk about it. Okay, so I have a little list here on my phone of things that I could remember. Sorry. I have a little list here of things on my phone from things that I could remember off the top of my head, or when this idea came to my mind to talk about it, I just was jotting things down as I remembered them. So I'll just kind of go down the list and yeah, let's just see. The first example I have didn't specifically happen to me, but I think it's a good experience of manifestation. And even though it wasn't directly correlated to me, I was there. So I was there to witness it and I thought it was really cool. So what happened? Me and two other friends were going to Dubai for one friend's birthday. She wanted this as her birthday trip and, you know, we're going to Dubai for her birthday. As we're going there, on the way, she had mentioned that, you know, her favorite YouTuber, Aaliyah's Face, lives in Dubai. You know, she's been there for a little while now, this and that. And we were just talking about her. I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. And the topic came up maybe one or two other times. So yeah, it was already established, it was put in my mind that the birthday girl's favorite YouTuber lives in Dubai now. She's not from Dubai. Anyways, it was established that she spends some parts of the year in Dubai, and I think she was currently in Dubai at that time. So when we were going, my friend was just talking about the fact that, yeah, like, so cool, I'm so excited to go. Can't even mind. So, you know, we land in Dubai, we're having a good old time, and I believe it is our second night there. Our second night, we decided to go out. We pretty much went out every single night, right? The other friend, not the celebrant, but the other friend, she usually found the places for us to go out that night, and that was usually like our night out spot, right? So on the second night, we went out to this one place. I forgot what it was called, but once I make my Dubai vlog, it'll be, you'll see it. You know, we're there, we're having a good time. This was probably like the most fun night that we had out in Dubai. But anyways, we're there, we're having a good time. My friend and the other friend, they go to the bathroom. She's having a blast, right? She goes to the bathroom, she comes back, and she's like, Isa too, guess who I ran into in the bathroom? And I'm like, who? And she's like, Aaliyah's Face. I saw her and I was like, Aaliyah, what you doing here? And she was right there. I was so shocked. Like, honestly, I felt like meeting a celebrity in the sense that, like, she's such a big YouTuber. But also what came to mind was that, what are the odds, right? Like, it's possible to look at it and just be like, oh, this was just a coincidence. But from a manifestation standpoint, she mentioned it before. I believe it had come up another time. There was no mention of, you know, like, oh, maybe we'll run into her. There was none of that. It was just the fact that, like, oh, you know, Aaliyah's Face is in Dubai or whatever. But what are the odds that we would all be going out on the same night at the same club and actually run into each other in the bathroom, right? Like, the club it wasn't huge, but it was big enough that we could have all been there the whole entire night and not run into each other, right? So the fact that she met her in the bathroom, her favorite YouTuber, I thought was so cool. So that's example number one. Okay, moving on to example number two, right? So this one is food related. So I was out one day, went on a hike with a friend. After the hike, we stopped by Walmart. And this specific Walmart that we were at has a Auntie Anne's in there. If you know anything about me, you know Auntie Anne's is one of my favorite, like, snack foods, right? If I'm in the mall, it's so hard for me to resist getting one. But yeah, we were at Auntie Anne's. I was a little hungry, and typically I try not to get it unless I have some sort of reward, right? One, because it's not good for you, it's unhealthy. So that kind of gives me permission to get it if I have a reward for it. Unless it's been a really long time since I've had it, then I'll just get it. But anyways, the point is, we were at Walmart, there was an Auntie Anne's. I wanted Auntie Anne's. However, checked the app, there were no rewards. So I was like, dang, you know, that's too bad. And my friend, he was just like, I can just get it for you. And I was like, no. You know, I don't typically get it unless there's like a reward or like a free thing in the app, which there is sometimes, right? There just wasn't this time. So I was already resigned to the fact that I'm not getting Auntie Anne's. So, you know, we go into the Walmart, we do our shopping, we leave. I think we're already back at my place at this point when I get a call from my friend, Shobes. You've seen her before on this channel. I get a call from her and she's like, Isatu, guess what? Her T-Mobile plan was doing a thing where they were giving free Auntie Anne's coupons. And I was like, that's so funny that you called because literally like not even an hour ago, I was lamenting the fact that I wasn't getting Auntie Anne's because I didn't have the a free pretzel coupon. And she's just like, yeah, you know, when I saw it, I thought of you, blah, blah, blah. So do you have a T-Mobile thing? And I was like, no, I'm not a T-Mobile. Long story short, she transferred her free coupon to me because she's like, I'm not going to use it. And later that day, we went out and I got my Auntie Anne's. So I don't know. I just thought it was very interesting that earlier in the day, it was something that I really wanted. I didn't get it because of my, you know, requirements to get it, but I still wanted it. And what are the odds that later on an opportunity will present itself for me to still get my free Auntie Anne's? So that's example number 2. Moving on to another example. And this one is also food related. There's actually a couple of them on here that are food related. So all of these are relatively recently. There's a lot of things that's happened in previous years that I probably just don't remember. But I've always noticed just when things like this happen, right? Like when I'm thinking of something, I want it, and it seems to just magically appear, right? So anyways, on to the example. So this example, my friends and I and my sister, we had gone out to, I think it was a concert. I don't know, we had gone out to an event, and after the event, it was late. We were all hungry, so naturally we decided to stop at McDonald's. We're in the line at McDonald's. We're all trying to figure out what we want. I know I want the chicken sandwich or whatever I got, I don't remember. But I was thinking I want a milkshake. And usually when I go to McDonald's, I'll get like the spicy chicken sandwich and a milkshake, right? But this time I was back in my cleaning up my diet phase, right? So I was like, all right, like let me not get the milkshake. I'll just get the drink. And everyone in the car, you know, I made it, or I said it out loud in the car. I was like, you know, I really want a milkshake, but I'm not going to. I'll just get a regular drink. Like I'll just get a lemonade, right? Because it's a little less unhealthy than a milkshake. And some people in the car were like, oh, I used to like just get the milkshake. You know, you want the milkshake, just get the milkshake. But I was like, no, I'm not getting the milkshake. I'm gonna get my sandwich, the fries, and the lemonade, right? But the point is, I did really want the milkshake. I did want it, but for my, you know, health and fitness reasons, I was like, I'm not gonna get it. So we're in line. We get to the intercom. Everybody places their order. We drive up to the place to pick up the food, and she passes the order in, and she's like, and you know, here's a milkshake. The car in front of you got an extra one, and they said to just give it to the car behind them. And we were all like, what? And it was just such an interesting moment because I'd already, like I said, I already verbalized the fact that I wanted a milkshake. So everybody in the car knew I wanted one. We get to the checkout. What are the odds that the person in front of me got an extra milkshake? I don't know if they paid for it or they accidentally made 2, or they ordered it and they didn't want it anymore. I don't know. All I know is they got a milkshake, it got left behind, and so the milkshake was passed on to us. I remember my sister being in the back being like, yeah, like I still like, you know, I really don't think you realize how powerful you are. And I'm just kind of there like, what in the world? And you know, my other friends are very much into like manifestation and that, you know, the woo-woo business. So she was just kind of like, I mean, it's not a coincidence. You wanted a milkshake, you thought about it, and here you go. So yeah, that's another example that I thought was really interesting. Okay, moving on to the next example. This one is also food related. Well, I've already talked about a couple of food things. Let me move on to a non-food related thing. So what happened was my sister got me an air fryer like years ago for Christmas, right? I've had it in the house, and for a while I had roommates in the house, right? Roommates, tenants, whatever. And we've all been sharing the air fryer. So at a certain point, I was like, you know, I want the house to myself. So everyone moved out, right? And with this being like a fresh start for me, with me like having a place to myself, this and that, I was thinking like, like I really need to like just kind of like really clean the air fryer just so I can feel like, you know, it's mine, like it's my own, it's starting fresh. Just freshen it up because, you know, like now I'm just gonna be the one that's using it just to go along with like the fresh start, right? But at the same time, I was thinking like, like maybe I'll just get a new one, right? Like maybe I'll still clean this one, maybe put it on Facebook Marketplace, maybe give it to somebody else, but I'll just get a new one just to commemorate me being in like having the house to myself, right? Shortly after everybody moved out, the air fryer stopped working, right? It wouldn't turn on. Like when you pressed it, the light would come on, but it wasn't actually functioning. So I was like, okay, well, I mean, I guess, you know, that means I have to get a new one because, you know, I wanted to get a new one. Like I low-key wanted to get a new one. But one thing I will always do is call manufacturers. Like whenever appliances break, I'll call the manufacturer and just see if there's anything they can do. However, I knew the fact that I already had this air fryer for at least like 5 years at this point. I was like, it's very unlikely that they're gonna send me a replacement because I'm pretty sure it's past the warranty period. And I was like, I'll just call anyways and see what they can do, right? Maybe they can just give me like a coupon or something. So I call them and I'm explaining to them what's going on, and he listens to me. He's like, okay. He's like, well, actually, this specific air fryer that you have has actually been recalled, right? Like there's a defect, it's been recalled. So what we can do for you is just send you a newer model of the version that you have, because since it was recalled, we can't send you that exact one. And it is past the warranty period, but because it's recalled and defective, we can send you a new one and a slightly newer model. And I was like, like, that's very interesting. You know, I'm very excited because I was like, well, I am getting a brand new air fryer. I'm getting a newer air fryer. And yeah, like it all just worked out. Like this literally happened within, I want to say like a week of like everybody moving out and me being in the house by myself, right? So I was like, again, what are the odds? But yeah, that's another example of something that, if you ask me, was manifested. Even though I wasn't actively thinking that like I'm gonna manifest a new air fryer. I wasn't thinking that. I was just thinking I wanted a new air fryer, trying to think about how I'm gonna get a new air fryer, and a new air fryer essentially magically appeared, right? Okay. On to the next example. And this one is actually food related too. A lot of these are food related. It was my sister and I, we went to go visit our parents, and on our way back after we were leaving, you know, we were craving a little something sweet. So we're like, let's go to Rita's. We put it into GPS. A couple of them popped up. Most of them were closed, but there was this one that did Rita's open. So we're like, okay, we'll go there. It was a little bit out of the way. I think it was like 15 minutes away from where we actually were, and it was kind of in a direction opposite of us going home, but we're like, we really want Rita's, so let's just try and go get it. We're not in a rush. So we go there, and to our disappointment, it's closed. So we're like, what the heck? Google said it was open, but I mean, I guess Google lied. It was closed. So in our disappointment, we're like, all right, fine. Like we'll just go to Cold Stone. So we started GPS to go home, but we added a Cold Stone that was kind of like on the way. We're driving on our way, and maybe like not even 15 minutes into our drive, we pass a certain section, and my sister's just like, wait, there's a Rita's right there. And I'm like, what? So, you know, we turn around, we go there, and yes, there was in fact a Rita's right there, and it was open. There was no line, no nothing. We went right in, got our Rita's, and made our way back home. Again, another example that doesn't, like, at first glance doesn't seem so, you know, groundbreaking, but for me and for my sister as well too, she definitely interpreted it as, you know, we essentially just manifested it. Like we wanted the Rita's, we tried to get it, it didn't work, and then it happened. It eventually happened. So I thought that was pretty cool. This other example reminds me of a little video that Lizzo had put out when she was talking about, you know, there being a glitch in the matrix because on her way to this one place, she was really craving, I think, cookies or something. And when she gets to the hotel, there are cookies in her room. This is similar to that, right? And this is one thing that actually happens very, very frequently. Either I'm just always craving sweets, like I'm just always craving something sweet, whether it's cookies, donuts, whatever. And, you know, whenever they do present themselves, it's just the fact that I was already craving it, or I'm thinking about it and it happens, right? So this example, and again, it's not a specific example because like I said, it happens very, very frequently where I go to work and I'm craving something like very specific. This one that I'm thinking of right now is a donut. I was really, really craving donuts. I almost stopped by Dunkin' Donuts to get one on the way to work, but I was already running late. So I'm like, you know, I'll just go straight to work. But the point is I was really craving donuts. I go in, I'm going through my shift within like maybe a few hours into the shifts, right? So this is around when families start visiting, this and that. A family member brings in donuts, so from Dunkin' Donuts too. So I was like, I'm gonna add that to the list of times that I was thinking about something and then it happened. So yeah, I went and had my donut and I enjoyed it. I really did. The last example that I'm going to talk about is essentially like a series of events within the same weekend. And it was one that at the end of the weekend that I was like, all right, like what's actually going on here? Like what's the big idea, right? And I actually have a text because I sent my friend like just explaining like what happened because I was literally left at the end of the weekend like, am I gonna win the lottery tomorrow? Like what's going on? Okay, so this one happened a few years ago, right? But it still just sticks out in my mind as another example of just manifestation, just things just presenting themselves effortlessly, right? The night before I was talking to one of my roommates about the fact that how I was really, really craving donuts, right? And I was telling him that like, you know, after work tomorrow, I'm gonna get some donuts, I'm gonna come home and I'm gonna enjoy them, right? And this donut example is a different example from the one I was talking about before. But like I said, things like that happen all the time as far as like me craving sweets and then it just appearing. But anyway, so yeah, I was telling him I was really craving donuts. My plan is I'm gonna go to work tomorrow. After work, I'm gonna pick some up and come home and enjoy it. Tell me why I walk into work the next morning and there were already donuts there. So I had one once again and I enjoyed it. So that was on the first day, right? The second day, or like throughout those days of working, the lunch that I had been packing was a soup, like soup to eat with rice, right? The first night I had rice, but I had ran out of the rice and I was too lazy to cook it. So the next day at work, instead of the rice, I packed couscous because that you can easily just make it in the microwave to eat with my soup. But when I made the couscous, that was the last one that I had. It's pretty much just enough for one serving, right? And I still had to cook rice again because, again, I was feeling lazy and I was working those few days and I just hadn't prepared. But anyways, I had some Texas Roadhouse rolls lying around, so I was like, I'm just gonna eat that with the soup, right? Like that'll be my substitution for rice, right? So, I go into work, I have my soup, I have my Texas Roadhouse to eat with the soup, right? But what I really wanted to have with the soup was rice, but I didn't have it. So I go into the break room and what do I see? My coworkers had ordered some Indian food, like a large batch of Indian food. And of course, it comes with like the whatever sauce you got, the rice, and then your sides. But the key in this is the rice, right? And there was so much rice. Of course, they were like, oh, like I still help yourself. Like we just got some food for the floor, this and that. And I was so excited because I'm like, I really wanted to have rice with my food. But since they had ordered Indian food and there was so much rice, I was able to have rice with my meal. So yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. And I'm pretty sure something else happened that weekend that I can't remember because I know it was like, I'm pretty sure it was a series of like 3 things that had me just like side-eyeing and just wondering like what's going on, but I don't remember. Anyways, those were the events that's happened recently that's just had me questioning whether or not manifestation is like actually a thing. It is definitely something I believe in, but it's always very cool to have your beliefs kind of reinforced, right? And these are just a few examples. Things like this have happened so many different times. A lot of them that I can't even remember, but these are the ones that I can think of off the top of my head. And it's definitely happened, how do I put this, negatively as well, in the sense that when I don't want something to happen, it won't happen, right? And maybe I'll save that for another video, but there's definitely been situations where I subconsciously just don't want something to happen, even if I don't admit it to myself, even if I don't acknowledge it. If I subconsciously don't want it to happen, some way, somehow, that thing doesn't happen, right? Yeah, maybe I'll do another video on that because I feel like that might be a little more interesting. But in the meantime, let me know your thoughts on manifestation. If you have any examples of your own of just things happening that have you questioning, if there's a glitch in the matrix or something happens and it just doesn't really feel like a true coincidence. Like it definitely just causes you to raise an eyebrow. And let me know what your thoughts about the examples that I presented. Do you just think that it really is just coincidence and there's nothing more to it? Things like that just happen, coincidences happen. Like it's not that big of a deal. Let me know if that's what you think as well. But I'd be more interested to hear about your own example. But yeah, that is all for today. That's all for this video. I feel like it was a little chaotic. I feel like I was definitely rambling a little bit. I didn't write a script or anything. I was just like, let me just turn this camera on and just talk because I've been wanting to talk about this for a little bit. Yeah, I just wanted to put it out there into the ether that these things did happen, and I just think they're very cool. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like, hit subscribe so you can be notified for when I post my next video. And yeah, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.